So, you're working on a video game, maybe a film or a TV show, and you have a level or a scene that's set during the snow at wintertime, and you need music that's going to capture that environment. Well, there's an easy answer, and it's just to use sleigh bells. But we can be a little bit more creative than that. Last year, I was composer and sound designer for a production of a play called The Trials. In this play, a group of children become the jury responsible for deciding the guilt or innocence of a group of climate criminals. But to escape the pressure of their responsibilities, some of them get a little bit creative to lighten the mood for the younger of their bunch. They imagine a beautiful snowscape, snow falling from the ceiling, throwing snowballs at each other, making snow angels. It's a magical scene, and I needed to write some music that suited this magical, wintry, snowy moment in the story. So in this video, I'm going to break down the music that I wrote for this scene and describe each step so that you can potentially use those steps in your own compositions, whether it be for film, video games, theatre like myself, or some other piece of media for which you want to evoke that snowy, magical, wintry feel. So let's get into it. In the first section, I used arpeggios on the piano. These arpeggios are played in the high register of the piano. Smaller objects make higher pitched sounds. That's just how physics works. And little flecks of snow are definitely very small things. So high pitched sounds are definitely associated with snow, which is why these arpeggios are being played in the high register. I'm also playing downwards leading arpeggios to simulate the sound of snow falling. But this track isn't meant to be sad and cold and dreary, it's meant to be happy and optimistic. So to create an uplifting, optimistic feeling in these arpeggios, each bar, the last note of the arpeggio pattern, raises up. In the first bar it's E, then F, then G, and then G sharp, before repeating. Shortly after those piano arpeggios start the track, I bring in my next trick, which is wind chimes. Wind chimes add a high, sparkly feeling, so they definitely contribute to that high-pitched, small object sound that the high piano arpeggios are getting at. But because they're so sparkly, they kind of imitate the light reflecting off of the snow. In this section, I also add some mellow brass chords, which support the chords that are being played and implied by the piano arpeggios. Brass instruments sound really warm, so they evoke the feeling of being warm and indoors and comfortable during a snowstorm. As I said before, we don't want the snow to feel bone-chilling and uncomfortable, but magical and mystical, so the brass definitely helps with that feeling. The warmth of the brass instruments balances the high pitches of the piano and the wind chimes. In the next section, the melody comes in. That melody is upwards leading, and it's played by woodwinds, primarily flute. The upwards leading nature of the melody adds to the magical feeling and contrasts with the downwards leading arpeggios in the piano. The reason that melody is being played on woodwinds, and especially flute, is because they sound like the wind blowing through the snow. You can see in each of these additional elements that I've added to the track, I'm not just thinking about the notes or even the melody, but I'm also thinking about the texture of each instrument that I add. The texture of high-pitched piano, wind chimes, warm brass, and airy woodwinds all come together to create the feeling of snow. In the final section, the texture thins out a little bit, and some swelling strings join in on the melody. Bowed strings are pretty much musical scoring shorthand for strong emotions, so having them play the melody here just enhances the magical, optimistic feelings that I've already been constructing up to this point in the track. In the second half of this section, the brass returns, harmonizing the melody to make it feel even stronger, and again contributing that warmth and homeliness that is associated with the sound of that section. But I didn't want it to feel too warm. It is snow, after all. So I added the quickest and easiest musical shorthand for snow that there is, and that is, of course, sleigh bells. Basically, all of the other tips in this video are pointless because adding sleigh bells to pretty much anything will make it sound like snow. But all the other things I've mentioned in this video definitely help. And they pull the feeling towards snow rather than just Christmas time, which is also strongly associated with sleigh bells. This scene wasn't meant to feel like Christmas, it was more meant to feel like a magical snowstorm. So sleigh bells definitely help, but having other snow elements to balance that and to not overly rely on those sleigh bells was critical. So now that I've explained all the individual elements and how they come together to make the track feel like a magical snowstorm, let's take a listen to it and hear if I pulled it off. If you like this track, I have good news for you. There are links down below in the description where you can stream this song on Spotify, Apple Music, all those places. There's also a link to purchase the music on Bandcamp, which is a great way to support me, the videos that I make here, and the music that I make in the future. Also, if you purchase on Bandcamp, you can get the full Climate Trials album a full month before it releases. This is an album of music that I wrote for the trials, and it features a whole bunch of amazing tracks that hopefully you'll enjoy if you like what you heard in Snow in the Jury Room. If you found any of this information useful, leave a comment down below and let me know, and if you're using it in a project like a film or a TV show or a video game, let me know. I'd love to hear about the projects that you're working on. You can also consider subscribing to the channel. I regularly do videos where I share behind the scenes on how I create my music, as well as sharing the music projects that I've been working on. So if this video has been of interest to you, you might like some of the stuff that I have in store for the future. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.